On August 9th of 2006, I was actually 3 months. I was coming up to the end of my enlistment. So it was 3 months prior to the end of my enlistment. It was August 9th. I always remember the date because it's my brother's birthday. My car had been sitting around for a while, so I hopped in my car and turned the key. And basically, my car told me exactly what was going on with it because it was a BMW. So it told me that it needed oil services. So I decided on this 2 hour break that I would actually go about getting that work done. Riding past the community, again, I was gone for a while. So I was riding past a community that I actually knew a young lady at. So I decided to take this little route around into the community to see if I would see her. On the way out of that community in Norfolk, I noticed that there was a police officer sitting like right at the entrance or the exit of the apartment community, and pulled past the police officer. Noticed a police officer is watching me. I'm watching the police officer. As regular people do all the time. What I really wanted to do was make a left at that stop sign, but I decided to make a right just because I didn't want to sit in traffic too long or sit and wait on traffic too long. So traffic is passing and it's busy. Got into traffic on the right side. I ride up a block and I noticed that the police officer pulls out. So, as expected, the police officer pulled out and then the police officer began to speed up. Lights flash. So I pulled straight into the currency exchange parking lot. So when he approached the car, license registration, the usual thing. Like he asked me, I asked him, may I ask why he's pulling me over? He said he randomly ran my tags. That already threw me off. So at that point is when I offered him everything that I had in the car. I had my itinerary, I had my paperwork, and I had my ID on me. He declined the actual itinerary. He told me he didn't ask for my military ID. I went on to explain to him again, I don't have my license. However, I do have my military ID, and I do want to give him a form of identification. All of the paperwork associated with the vehicle is here, and it's mine. So then he went to the car, comes back, he tell me I got a failure to appear in court. I say, he told me I got an FTA. I was not familiar with the acronym FTA, so I asked him, what is an FTA? He told me it was a failure to appear in court. I said, failure to appear in court? Sir, I just offered you the paperwork showing my itinerary. I just flew back in from Narita, Japan within 5 days ago. So again, I offered the itinerary. He didn't take it. Things seems a little shaky, a little shady, confusion, of course. But we continued on. He took the information or the identification that he had, went back to the car, came back and told me that I had unauthorized use. I went on to ask that, like, what is that? What is an unauthorized use? Unauthorized use of what? Like, what do you mean? He was like, unauthorized use of a vehicle. And I'm like, unauthorized use of a vehicle? I don't know what you're talking about, sir. And he's like, did you steal a car? At that point, I'm like, come on now. I'm in uniform. I'm in the United States Navy. Like, what I look like stealing cars? But it was just, at that point, it was very Confucius. Like, I was really confused. So I'm thinking hard, like, what exactly could he be talking about? So I remembered a situation that had happened prior to me leaving where me and a young lady had gotten into it. And I actually used her truck to take some things out of her house, take it over to a storage, and came back to the house. And the police was called. So I was like, okay. Like, I think I know what you're talking about, but we had to straighten this thing out. So right before I had went out to see, me and this young lady had went and seen her mother in, what is it called over there? Eastern Shore. Like, we actually went over and seen her mother in Eastern Shore. And her mother was the one who the vehicle's name, her mother's name was on the vehicle, which I did not know. Like, I actually had a key to the vehicle that the girl had given me, but I didn't know the car was in her mother's name. So that situation got a little confused. So I kind of explained that to the officer, and I was like, but I could actually call her and we can get this thing straightened out, because it's already straightened out. I don't even know how that's sitting around. Like, I didn't even know it was charges on that. So he was like, no, he was like, but what are you doing? Like, what are you doing in this car? And I'm like, what are you talking about? And he's like, what are you doing in this car? And I'm like, what? This is my car. It's my car. I own it. So he's like, what are you? What, E2? What are you, a E1, E2? I'm like, officer, that I don't think that has anything to do with what's going on. However, like, it's my car. I own it. I actually gave you all of the paperwork associated with it. I don't understand what exactly are you asking me? So the officer decides to, so the officer actually ended up putting the cuffs on through the window while my hand is on the wheel. He's like, get out of the car. And I'm like, am I being arrested, sir? He's like, get the F out of the car. I'm like, what? Like, what's going on? So then he opens the door, and basically, you know, my hand at this point, my hand is kind of out of the window, but the door is opening at the same time. So, you know, you move super slow because you don't want to hurt yourself. So we maneuver around that situation. And at that point, he's like, hey, put your hands on top of the car. And I'm like, put my hands on top of the car. Am I being arrested? He's like, shut the F up and put your hands on top of the car. And I'm like, yo, like, what's going on here? Like, cause at this point I'm thinking like, what's going on? Like, you know, like, it's crazy cause it escalated so fast. Like I really didn't understand what was going on. So, he tells me to put my hands on top of the car, and he's like, going through like my pockets. So he's going through my pockets, and I'm like, sir, what are you looking for? Like, he's actually pulling the pocket. Like, if anybody remember the trousers, the utility uniform, like you actually had on pants and a shirt. So he went through every pocket on that uniform. So you got 2 pockets on your chest. You got 2 pockets in your front and 2 pockets in the back of your pants. So he actually went through those pockets and pulled pockets out. Like, I'm like, sir, what exactly are you looking for? Like, I don't understand what's going on. He took everything out of my pocket, and, you know, he's doing his thing, I guess. But the whole time he's like super rough, like super forceful and just disrespectful. Like, if I ask a question, I'm talking cussing me out, like, shut the F up, blah, 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 blah. And at one point, I remember it was these 2 elderly women who were walking up. They asked, what's going on? And why are you treating him like that? He's not fighting you, blah, blah, blah. You know, they doing that. Like, so they going into, you know, they're questioning him type thing. And he's like, just move on and blah, blah, blah. So then at that point, he wants to rush me out of there because now it's people starting to question things. So he take me to his car, put me, he handcuffed me, put me in the back of his car, and I'm still asking the same question, like, am I being arrested? Like, am I under arrest? Like, cause I don't know. Like, he ain't saying much of anything. It's just a bunch of foolery going on at the time. So I'm confused. I'm sitting back I'm sitting in the back of the car with my hands behind my back, and I'm just like, yo, like, what happened? Like, that's what I'm thinking. Like, what's going on? Like, this is crazy. But the only question I'm asking is, am I being arrested? Because I needed to know. This guy is actually pulling off, leaving my car there with all of the windows open and the sunroof is open. So I'm like, sir, please, can you at least close my windows? At least do that. So as we're pulling out, he actually put his car in park with no stop, no brake, no nothing. He just put his car in park because I guess he's so frustrated that he puts his car in park. The nerves will be frustrated, but puts his car in park, gets out of the car, and walks around to get me out of the car, I guess. Now, again, he put me in the car on his side. I'm sitting directly behind him. Like, I'm sitting directly behind him. So when he got out and walked around the car, I already know what this is because I know what this type of stuff look like. I've seen people get arrested before. I know exactly what. So I'm like, okay, I need to get myself to the other end of this car before he gets over there, because what he's going to do is he's going to snatch me out of the car, or he's going to drag me, or he's going to basically he's going to be consistent with the forceful nature that he's been putting out. So, or the forceful efforts that he was putting out. So I'm scooting over there to beat him over there, basically, is what I wanted to do, because I don't want to get dragged. So what happened is he beat me to the other side, and that's exactly what he did. He dragged me out of there. So he snatched me out of the car, and basically at this point we're looking for the keys. So he take the cuffs off, and he like, put your hands on the car. So I put my hands on top of the car, and it's blazing hot. So I tell him it's hot. I raise my hands up. He cussed me out. And I'm like, yo, like, it's hot, sir. Like, he like, listen, put your effing hands on the car, blah, 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 blah. And again, I'm still confused, because I'm like, I don't even know if I'm being arrested. Like, I don't even know if I'm being arrested to be getting treated like this. Like, it just doesn't make sense. None of it makes sense. Plus, again, this all started from you randomly running my tag. So it's weird. So what I did was put my hands on the car, and he starts to go through my pockets. So he's looking for the keys at this point. He's taking stuff out of my pocket, throwing it down the street. Like, I think he took a nail file out of my pocket and threw it down the street. Again, he's going through my pocket, and I'm like, what are you looking for? And he's like, where's your effing keys? Where's your keys at? And I'm like, where? I thought they was in my pocket. And he like, they're not in your pocket. Where's your keys? And I'm like, sir, like, I thought they was in my pocket. Like, but again, I'm looking to make sure that I keep myself still, because I don't want anything to happen to me. So I got to keep my hands on top of the car. It ain't like I can go into my own pockets and look for it. So I'm like, I thought they were in my pocket. And then it hit me that he cuffed me through the window. So the keys are still in the car. So he goes over to the, like, so I tell him, I say, hey, listen, so they're in the car because you handcuffed me through the window. So they're in the car. I think he thought I was being smart, but it really had dawned on me that the keys were still in the car, because he handcuffed me through the window and told me to get out of the car. So I got out of the car, and here we are. Like, so now the keys are in the car, and he put me back in the cuffs, put me back in the back of the car, and then he goes over to my car to retrieve the keys. So when he gets into the car, he opens the door, and I'm watching him from the back of his car. I'm watching him, and he checks like, as soon as he opens the door, he checks the side door console, and I'm like, okay, we just established that the keys are in the ignition, because you pulled me out of the car, cuffed me through the window. So why are you checking the side console? So then I see him reach over and check the other door console. He checks the middle console, and he checks the sunroof. So when he checked the sunroof, at that point it dawned on me what he had been looking for the whole time, because I was asking him, even when he was pulling my pockets out and all this, like, what exactly is he looking for? At that point, you know everything is in the perspective, and you know exactly what is going on. So he takes me down to the police station in I guess in Norfolk, and like I wasn't familiar with any of that, but when I get there, they took everything that was out of my pockets, and I'm like, what's going on? And they like, look, we need a statement from you. Like, I guess it was 2 detectives that came out, and it was like, we need a statement from you, and the sooner we get the statement from you, the sooner you'll go. And I'm like, what exactly are y'all talking about? And they was talking to me about the unauthorized use. Like, I needed to write some type of statement for it. And I was like, man, I already told the officer that I could actually call the person and get that clarified. So I'm not understanding why we even here. So I was like, am I being arrested? Like, am I being retained? Like, what's going on? So they like, we just need a statement from you, and the sooner we get the statement, the sooner we'll get you out of here. So at that point, you know, you taking all of your stuff out of your pockets and stuff like that, and I'm walking away from my property, or what they consider your property at that point, because they got it in like a plastic bag. But I noticed that the officer takes my keys out of the property. So I'm like, hey, make sure that y'all get my keys from that officer because he took my keys out of the bag. And they like, don't pay attention to that. Just focus on getting this statement done because the sooner you can give us a statement, the sooner you can get out of here. And I'm like, all right, so I'm going to go in here. And this is what I'm thinking. I'm going to go in here. I'm going to write the statement real quick and I'm going to be out of here. And that what we thought would probably be, or that what I thought would probably be a 30-minute situation turned into 7 months.